what's the biggest issue right now for the AFLPA that you're dealing with? I know that's...
Yeah, I mean,
there's lots.
There's lots. I mean, I think when you take a step back out of what we're dealing with today and actually go, what is the biggest issue? It's hard to go past probably concussion and mental health. I think they're the two that you look at and go, there's not easy fixes to those issues. We're doing a lot to help people that have been impacted by concussion. So in terms of the reactive piece, and I'm sure we'll talk about the past player fund, but there's some really significant support that's been put in place. Making the game as safe as it can possibly be in a contact sport and trying to limit the number of concussions going forward is going to be the challenge. And then there's still quite a bit of grey around what's the best way to deal with these things. Like is the 12-day mandatory sit-out period, is that enough? Is it too much? There's all those sorts of things you need to work through. But I think that's the one that worries me the most, because I think we've seen, we're seeing day to day, we're seeing examples of players who are most definitely suffering from concussions they received during footy. And I think mental health, and it's a little bit related, but I think we're seeing a significant proportion of our community that are dealing with these issues, and our players are under a lot of pressure and scrutiny, and that's only getting more and more with the media attention that's on the game. And I think we see a lot of players taking up our support services, trying to work with these things. So we're taking young men and women straight out of school in most cases and putting them in this pressure cooker environment where everything they do is scrutinised, whether that be on or off the field. And it's a lot for a young person to deal with.
I've got sort of different views around the mental health element. I personally don't think it's the scrutiny and the media attention. I mean, that's a part of what you sign up for, and you may not, as a 17-year-old, understand that, but it is certainly a part of the industry. Like, my thoughts on where the mental health struggles and element come from is actually the structure, the sense of belonging, the team, the purpose, that you just cannot find in regular life.
Yep.
Trying to win a premiership as a player for a job literally cannot be replicated. If you think about any industry in the entire of Australia, there's really not many that there's just such a singular focus that, success and failure is pretty much dictated by that, and you can very easily measure it. And you pull yourself out of that environment, and I can talk about myself. Like, you don't necessarily feel lost, but you lose a sense of purpose that is very hard to replicate. Rather than the scrutiny and the media attention and all of that, I think if you hate that, turn social media off. Don't pick up a paper. But
I think it's. Well, I don't disagree with anything you've just said there. I think they're all interlinked, though. I think there'll be players that will really struggle with the scrutiny. You maybe dealt with that better than a lot, but I do think that when players hit transition, and that's just not an AFL issue. That's an every sport issue. I don't know if any player transitions particularly well.
No, I'd agree with that.
And I think there's varying degrees of that, but I think this is, I've heard, I think it was Lauren Jackson talked about you die twice as an athlete, and there's an element of that, and it's difficult to replicate. I think those that do prepare for life after sport do it better, but it's still, probably the dream job, and depending on how long your career is, and the average career is 4 to 5 years, like you might have had your high point by the time you're 22, 23. It's, you'll think of it that way. Even if you've got a long career and you get into your 30s, it's pretty hard to then go, well, is that it? Is that the high point of my life?
That was just a little teaser of our full episode. They're out Wednesdays on YouTube, and you can listen to them wherever you get your podcast. Go on, get out of here.